The Swedish royal family's period of mourning has reached a new moment of closure with fresh details emerging about the funeral of Princess Desiree Baroness Silfverschiöld, the elder sister of King Carl XVI Gustaf, whose passing in January 2026 marked the end of an era for one of Europe's most quietly respected royal figures. As friends, family, and well-wishers reflect on her life, new information about the final farewell, including the casket chosen for the service and the place where she will rest, has been shared, offering insight into the traditions and personal wishes surrounding her funeral. Princess Desiree died peacefully at the age of 87 on January 21 at her home at Koberg Castle in Västergötland, Sweden, surrounded by family. Her death was announced formally by the Swedish royal court, and flags at Drottningholm Palace and Haga Palace were ordered to fly at half-mast in her honor, a signal of her deep bond with the nation and the monarchy she was born into. Today, we are going to take you through the funeral arrangements, the casket details, and the burial site that have now been revealed, painting a fuller picture of how this beloved princess was honored in her final farewell. Princess Desiree was known not only as a member of the Swedish royal family, but also as one of the cherished Haga princesses, a name given to the daughters of Prince Gustaf Adolf and Princess Sibylla of Sweden, who grew up at Haga Palace outside Stockholm. She was born on June 2, 1938, into a family that was deeply embedded in Sweden's modern monarchical history. Though she lost the style of Her Royal Highness upon her marriage in 1964 to Baron Niklas Silfverschiöld, a Swedish officer with no royal rank, she remained a respected and much-loved figure throughout her life. For the funeral, Princess Desiree's personal and familial wishes played a key role in shaping the ceremony. Rather than a lavish state affair, the service reflected the quieter, more personal side of royal tradition that Desiree embodied throughout her life. In keeping with her preferences and the wishes of her family, the princess was placed in a simple yet elegant coffin crafted from English oak, a material chosen for its dignity and timeless character. Reports indicate that the coffin was modestly designed, in line with Desiree's well-known preference for understated grace rather than grand spectacle. It has also been shared that she was laid to rest wearing her wedding dress and veil, holding a crucifix, a poignant detail that reflects both her lifelong personal faith and her devotion to her family. These were not official statements from the palace, but the images and descriptions circulating through close family sources and smaller royal forums suggest that her final attire was chosen with deep emotional significance, connecting the beginning of her family life to its final rite of passage. The location of her burial was another matter that drew attention from royal watchers and the public alike. Princess Desiree was buried at a family burial ground that holds deep historical significance for Sweden's royal house. While the exact placement within the cemetery was not disclosed publicly out of respect for the family's privacy, it is known that she was interred on family land in Västergötland near Koberg Castle, the place she called home for so many years. This choice underscores the deeply personal nature of her final resting place. It is not in a distant royal crypt or state mausoleum, but close to the countryside that meant so much to her and her children. This burial choice fits with the overall tone of Princess Desiree's life. After her marriage, she stepped back from the limelight and made her home at Koberg Castle, focusing on her family and her roles as a mother and grandmother. The castle and its surrounding estate became synonymous with her identity outside of formal royal functions, a setting far removed from the ceremonial stages of Stockholm, yet integral to who she became in her later decades. The funeral itself was expected to follow in the weeks after her death, though exact dates and public details were initially held back to allow the family space and privacy in their grief. That approach reflects the strong preference within the Swedish monarchy to balance public duty with deep respect for personal mourning, especially after a lifetime of public service that was never marked by ostentation. Members of the royal family, including King Carl XVI Gustaf and other close relatives, were reported to be among those present at the funeral. It was not a public spectacle, but rather a solemn service that brought together immediate family and select dignitaries and confidants. This approach reinforced the private yet profound significance of Princess Desiree's life to both her relatives and the nation she helped represent quietly for so long. The choice of English oak for the casket and the personal inclusion of her wedding dress and crucifix speak to Princess Desiree's enduring connection to her family's history and traditions. Oak has long been valued in European funerary practice because of its strength, longevity, and classical beauty, attributes that mirror the steady devotion she showed throughout her life. Although she chose a life away from the direct line of succession and official royal duties, she remained deeply integrated into the court's ceremonial and personal fabric. For decades, Princess Desiree attended family events, official celebrations, and occasional ceremonial duties, but she was also known for her warmth in personal interactions and her role as a matriarch within her own branch of the family. She and Baron Nicholas Silfverskiöld raised 3 children together, and her legacy now continues through their descendants, many of whom were present to pay their last respects. The burial at Koberg Castle was chosen not just for its proximity to her home, but also because of what it represented, a life lived not for public acclaim but for family and quiet service. In royal traditions, a burial site can tell a story about values and priorities. In Princess Desiree's case, the choice underscores the enduring importance of home, heritage, and personal identity. As news of her funeral arrangements became public, tributes poured in from across Europe. Monarchies and royal watchers alike acknowledged her lifetime of service and the elegant dignity with which she carried herself. Even in her final farewell, the choices made reflected a woman who valued simplicity and love over pomp and ceremony. Details about Princess Desiree's funeral, including the simple oak casket and the choice of burial in Västergötland, have helped the public see beyond headlines to the personal and emotional core of her passing. Her funeral was not just a chapter in royal history, it was a moment of genuine family grief, shared in a way that respected both tradition and personal preference. Her children, Baron Carl Silfverschiöld, Baroness Christina Louise Ewa Madeline Silfverschiöld, and Baroness Helene Ingeborg Sibylla Silfverschiöld, remain central figures in the continuing legacy of their mother, carrying forward the memory of a princess who balanced royal heritage with a life shaped by love, family, and quiet dignity. Princess Desiree's final farewell, from the carefully chosen casket to the serene burial place near her longtime home, reveals a woman whose life and death were deeply rooted in both tradition and personal meaning. In a world where royal funerals often attract global media and public spectacle, her ceremony stood out for its focus on intimacy and authenticity, a fitting tribute to a life lived on her own terms.